So, last time we stopped here with the TCP and our TCP stack. So last time what we're doing, we're sending like messages from bots, like creating connections and sending and all that. So in this example, what we're gonna do is like try to like be to simulate like some kind of a real case. Okay, let's say that this user, or who is the minion, which is a client, wants to request something. So we have to actually have some kind of a data or a database or some data to simulate with. So for this example, we'll try to create a database. Okay, so let's say that our database has something like this. It has maybe it has like an email. Okay, our columns, the columns that we're having. So it has an email, it has a password. So those users could maybe log in or request data depending on their email and stuff like this. So maybe they would have like data, let's say data zero, okay, and they will have data one, data two, maybe data three, okay. So they will actually have this data 2 and data 3. Those are the columns. Those are the columns. So this is the column number 1, column number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is 5 columns in the Python counting. So, and let's say that the user maybe will try to do some real world maybe log in or something like this. Let's say that the user could log in. Okay, so he will use an email and a password to log in. So let's say that the user wants to log in. So we have a def.login this way, and in the login we take email and pass. Okay, for this we print just login for now. Okay, and also maybe he is going to maybe try to request some data using his email and password, and we'll verify that he's like a user or a real user, and then give him his data. Okay, so maybe he's requesting to, maybe he get data, something like this, get data. Okay, and what else? Maybe he wants to before even doing the login and get data, maybe he will try to subscribe. Okay, so he will try to subscribe. Okay, or let's call it just sub this way. So, and how are we going to handle all this is like we're gonna have like multiple types of request. Okay, so we should have like a dictionary of request. So let's call it like rec dictionary. Request dictionary is equal to something like this, something like this. uh, well, before going to this, let's assume that the user, now let's get rid of this. Let's say that the user will maybe send a message like this. So he could send something like this. Maybe he should send login. Okay, and then afterwards he will attach to it his email, and also he will attach to it his password. Okay, and maybe he doesn't want to do this. Maybe he wants to maybe get data. Okay, maybe he wants to get data. Maybe he wants to let's say subscribe. Okay, so in here we do like something like this, sub. Okay, so the message is going to be one of these. Okay, one of these. So what we expect here, what we expect here when we receive this decoded data. Okay, so the user is going to send we are expecting expecting to receive something like this. So we will split each block from this and get that data. Okay, so let's say that splitted is equal to decoded data dot 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 split, and we split it by this. You could choose like a unique form or something like this. You could even send JSON, you could send whatever you want inside. Let's say now we stick to this, okay? And in that, we know that the first one is the request type. So maybe login, maybe get data, maybe something. So we know that request type, or let's call it target request, okay? So target request is equal to splitted 0, okay? And we know that the email is splitted 1 and the password is splitted 2, okay? So this is email, and this is password. So, and in here, before going further, we could do like a print, maybe print splitted, okay, this way. For now, let's just comment this, okay, and go back to our minion, and in here we do this. Okay, so this is what we are sending. Let's try to go. Let's try to execute this and see how it goes. Okay, this is first. So we go back up in here and we do this. So Python main.py. Okay, so now we're binded, no errors, and now we do Python minion.py. Okay, you could see now that we are receiving this. Okay, and it is successfully working. So now, before going any further, let's just convert this into some kind of a class. Okay, so we do class, maybe you call this server this way, and in this let's just define an init inside. So we're gonna be using some self inside, and let's try to first create our dictionary. Okay, so when we receive the target request, we will be able to compare it against our request dictionary. So we call it, we do this. So self dot request dictionary is equal, and now when we go back to here, we see that those are the types of requests that we have. So we either have login, and the login should be calling maybe a self dot login this way, and we should also get data, something like this, get data, and the get data should call the self dot get data this way, and also we should take the parentheses here because it's going to be called directly. So, and in here what we also have, we have the sub. Okay, so sub else sub this way. And now what we need to do is create those functions that we had here. So in here, let's just copy these functions, okay, and just go in here and just paste them. Let's try to increment them and also ident them this way. but we have to also pass in here the self, and in here also, and the handler also takes self, and it needs to be this way, and the master also takes self. What else? I think that's all. Okay, the handler also takes in self. It is self.handler now. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe not. Okay, so now what we need to do, we need to now, let's just bring this to the top and just remove this. Okay, so now what do we know? Now we know this. We know that the the self, how to call it, like when we receive it, we have to call it from the dictionary. So we do this. So self dot request dictionary. Okay, request dictionary, then we pass in the maybe the target request. Okay, so target request, and that target request we also pass in the email, and we pass in the email this way, email, and also password. We pass in email and also password. Now we have printed the split. Okay, let's remove this, and when we go here, let's log in, print login, and then print email. Pass this way. It says sub, and it says get that. I think yes. What we need to also do is also do the if main. And then what we do also is this. So server is equal to server, and then we do this server master server. So this is what we're calling on this. And what again? So this should be on. This should be on. This should be working for us fine. Okay, let's now just test our server first. Okay, so yes, of course. So now that we are binded, we go we see in here that we're sending this, so we're sending sub. So let's just actually change it. So let's call it login, and in here yes, yes, in here we should do this. So we should call the minion, so python 3 minion.py. Okay, you see now what we are doing. What could we do more? So what could we do more about it? I don't know. So now let's just try to create a database. Okay, and to okay, let's try now to create this database. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is maybe just, okay, the request is formatted very well. So okay, so we should do a database and try maybe to request a login first. If the login fails, then we print something that login failed, or something like this, you know. So let's create a function or create a function that creates our database. So def create database, okay, this way. And let's do we want to create multiple databases or just one database. We will see in the future maybe if we could do. So let's say that the com is SQLite create dot connect to, let's call it data.db for now, okay. And now we have to create cursor. So cursor is equal to con.cursor, and then we have to execute something on the cursor to create it. So cursor execute, and then what do we want to execute? So we want to execute the following. We want to create a table, okay. So we create table, if not exists, of course, if not exists, and let's call it do it first. Okay, let's call it data table, okay. And that data table should have our email as text, okay, and our password as text. And what it should always also have, so we did data 0, data 1, so data 0 as text and data 1 as text and data 2 as text and data 3 text. And afterwards we have to commit and close, so con.commit, and we have to close. This way. And for now, let's just create the database as it is without running the server, okay. What do you expect? What you expect this? Okay, so now we have created our database. So now we have created our database, that data.db, so it should be created in here. So what the fuck? .dev cd tutorials cp. Where did we create this? Let's do this. Okay, we didn't call it at all. It should be here. So we'll just create database this way. Now it should appear in here. Okay, so we have the database now created. Okay, so now we have the database. So for the login, now that we have actually a database, now we should compare the login. But first, before comparing the login, we should at least have at least like maybe some rows where we have some maybe information. So we have to maybe create an insert. So let's call it insert data, okay. It takes email, password, data 1, data 0, data 1, data, we should just create it just one, data 3, okay? And like in here also, so let me just copy this and do this, and then execute not this, so it will not execute this. But what we will have to do, let me just completely remove this. Okay, so what we want to do is insert into, now that we have connected, we have to insert into the data table. So let's see what we call it. We call it data table. So data table, and we insert the email, password, data 0, data 1, data 2, data 3, and we pass in the values. So the values are the ones that we've taken from this. So let's just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have email 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 this way, and then we just wrap it up and just do this, and then we do this. Now we should close this and just remove this. Now this should work. This should work. And now then commit and do this. And there is one more thing to do. We have to create another function to get the data. Like when we inserted all this, we have now to check the data or something like this, be able to fetch. Okay, and that's it. Maybe that's it. It should be enough. We have a fetch. We have all this. We have a fetch. Maybe for the login we need specifically the email and password. But let's just do this for now. So let's just try to fetch all by email. Okay, so fetch all by email. So, and it takes just email. Okay, and also again we need this here. Well, let's just copy it completely and do this, and in the execute, okay, so we should just select everything. Select. Okay, so maybe just select what, select everything. So from what? So from data table where let's say email is equal to this. Okay, and then what, we pass in the email this way, and just closing in on everything together. And so now let's say that arrows is equal to cursor this way. Cursor dot fetch one or fetch all. Let's say fetch all. Okay. And in here, and this is what we do. So we have to get rid of the commit. So we're not committing anything. We're just fetching. So we have to return something, and we have to return the rows. Okay. Okay, now that we have created the database, now let's create an insert first. So let's do this. Let's do this, and instead of emails, let's say user one email.com. Okay. And for the password, we say password one, and let's say in here, let's call it user data 0 this way. This is data 1. Now we want to fill those tables with data. So when we send the request, we know what we are doing. So the database has been created. We cannot create another one. So now we just call in this, and we do what? We do results is equal to fetch by email, and we try to pass in the user one email.com. Let's see if it works. Syntax expected. Where? Yes, here. No column data to what? Yes, we did it. Table data has no column name data to. Yes, it has one. What are you saying? SQL operation execute SQL table has line 80. Yes, it has. Of course it has. Of course it has. Yes, it doesn't have. It doesn't have one because we fucked it up. pwd, let's remove data.db. Okay, this way. Blah 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 blah. In here, we have to do this. So this way. Now we didn't press the rest. Print rest. It's better to delete it this way. And just go back in here and do this. User, yes, it doesn't have this, so it doesn't have user one. So remove this. We'll just re-execute quickly, and you could see that this is the database where we passed in the fetch by email. Okay, now that we have all our databases ready and working, what we're gonna do is very simple. So let's go back to our socket server, and no, before doing this, what we want to do is maybe try this first. Okay, so what I want to do is just copy this, just come back in here, copy this, and just comment all this together this way. And here let's do this. So let's do let's do let's do let's do this. Let's actually put it somewhere at the top. We could see what we are doing. So now using this fetch all. So maybe the email wants to fetch his data, okay, or get his data, get what does he have, okay. So he pass in the get data, he pass in the email and password. The password in this case is not necessary. And then what he wants to do, he wants to maybe fetch. We have to pass in the self. Maybe he wants to fetch all, fetch all by, okay, this way, and we pass in the email, which is ENL, okay. And what else? So let's do something even more interesting. So in here, so we're doing this, and instead of this, what we want to do this. Let's say that result, when we call that function, which is now we know what we are calling. We're gonna call the get data. Okay, so now when we call that get data, this is where we're calling it. Okay, we call that result. Okay, and then afterwards we say that the message is equal to res, or let's call it str string, because it was a list. So string res, and then we send it. Okay, so yes, in here we should be passing self, and maybe that's all. Okay, so in here, instead of this, maybe you could call it just directly fetch all, or name the other function fetch all is get data. Okay, it doesn't matter now, but this is where we should what we should pay attention to. So let's just split it, and in here let's do where are we? Okay, so Python 3 dot, what do we call it? It's main. Okay. Okay, it's not doing anything because there is this thing that we have commented that we forgot about, and we didn't save, so we have to save in here. So bind it, and in here we do Python 3, and what are we doing in the we're requesting login? No, so not login, maybe get data. Okay, this way. And in here we do this. So Python 3 dev tutorials cp, and then we do Python 3 minion. Oh, we're not calling it. Let's see why. Or are we? None. So it's returning none. Yes, it's returning none because of one thing. The one thing is that in here we're not passing the email correctly. So when it's not an email, it's like not a registered email. So you see what I'm trying to do? Let's just pick up this. Okay, go to the minion side and just do this. Okay, this way, and in here we clear and re-execute and see what happened. Key error. Email.password request, target request has a key error. Okay, so target request has a key error. What is the key error of this? Login? Yes, get data. What key error are you talking about? No, I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this. No, it was working. Yes, of course, it is there. We should state that it's get data, simply. Let's say it's already running. No, it's not. It's not running. And are we threading all the clients? So we should be able to get beyond that, beyond that error. Wait, wait, wait. So no, this is correct. So this is correct. So on the other side, we have what we have to do is just maybe just clear the this way. Okay, we shouldn't be able to bind so quickly, but we will try. Bind it. None, it's still none. I'll be right back, guys. I'm back, guys. Yeah, what we were, I don't know. Yes, we were having like we were having a none. Okay, I know what we are. Why do we have? Why do we have none? So, uh, let's say that it's getting a bit complicated. So, let's just do this, okay? And one and what? So res is equal to this. So message is equal to res. So instead of returning none, now we be returning something. So we just go here and just do this and now do this. So python3.main. We shouldn't be able to bind because I'm not killing the socket directly. Yes. It's already in use. Just give it a second. Okay, it's working now. Yes, and now you could see that the minion is getting his information back. And this is how usually request works. So, and there are more, there is more to it. So there's a lot more to this than what you have seen, because when we originally were sending this, so imagine if someone doesn't send this, he sends maybe a malicious attack, maybe login on different sites, maybe he will try to attempt to just make multiple connections, maybe he will try to just send in data slowly, maybe he will try to sniff. There is a lot that you need to protect against. So when you receive the request in here, you have to do some kind of like data validation. Okay, validation, that's first. And second, there is the header. Okay, so because now we're receiving this, and you have to know and you have to understand how much a user could send, so you have to restrict him, so you have to make some restrictions. And there's also the SSL wrapping. Okay, so you have to wrap this socket in SSL, so your communication is secured, and etc. But this is how like a server made with socket works. Okay, and this little thing that we have here, so we could implement this to any GUI. So you could do it in any GUI, you could do it in anything. So it doesn't matter where you implement it, whether what front end you're using. And there's one more thing that you should know, that this socket, it's like a cross-platform thing, so we should be able to receive from different languages and stuff like this. So this is the power of sockets. So, and there's more to do. It's like now we are actually using strings instead of this, but in the future we could use, like, instead of sending in here, because what you need to understand is a socket sends bytes, but bytes are made something like this. So bytes, let's say 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Okay, so this is bytes. So, and in this we are consuming a lot of bytes, though it's small, but we are consuming a lot of bytes. Now in this case we have just three requests. So instead of this, why just don't use this message? Okay, that, let's say that message is equal to like request byte plus the actual message plus the message. Okay, and this is our request byte. And with just one byte we could have this multiple requests. So we have like 256 type of requests with just one byte. You understand the power of this? So this is what you need to understand. This is why you need to understand why this is very performant. This is by far the most reliable thing for transmitting anything over the network. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you maybe in the next video.